Hello, everybody, and welcome to M Pulse. This is episode number 11. We were recording this live across that great Atlantic Ocean between 2 points. I'm in Ottawa. My name is Rob Woodbridge from Untether.tv. If you haven't been there, Untether.tv is a resource where you can find how entrepreneurs around the world, mobile entrepreneurs around the world, are actually generating income, building their businesses, growing their businesses. And with me from across the pond in Germany, Miss Peggy Ann Saltz. Peggy, welcome.
Hello, Rob. As I said, 11. Wow, that's we're in the double digits. It's amazing.
I'm stunned, right? I think the litmus test for us was always 10. Now we can actually start marketing the heck out of this thing. I think that we have actually accomplished what many video podcasts or podcasts in general don't do, which is get off the ground and make it past their 10th episode. Now, I've had some that have gone to 20 and then fizzled. But I love this. The momentum is actually picking up with us.
Yeah. And also the resonance. I mean, I'm watching in TweetDeck. I'm watching the column move every time you post. Then I post. Then we do I do the analysis. You do the show. Going really well. And some additional mileage because now you're an ongoing and integral part of the Carnival of the Mobilists.
Yes.
The other
Yes.
The other thing I do on this side. So yeah, we're getting out there, getting reach. I'm really pleased.
Well, as you know, Peggy is the purveyor of all things at mobilegroove.com, and certainly I would highly recommend you check out mobilegroove.com, or you can follow Peggy on Twitter. Where do they follow you, Peggy?
It's at Peggy Ann for the sort of the personal tweet stream and all the personal observations, little rants every now and then, and GrooveWire for Mobile Groove and Untether, so Mobile Groove and Partners, and at Mobile Groove just for plain Mobile Groove.
Anyway, basically you follow us anywhere, which is great, and we've got a jam.
Yeah, you got a lot of choice here.
You really do, which is great because you can choose a little personal, a little professional, a combination of the two. But this show is all professional, 100% button-up professional. We have an insane show today. We're going to be talking about a number of things. We've obviously we're continuing the developer focus, and I think that this is something that we want to extend a little bit simply because there's so many challenges facing developers these days, not only about platforms and development and tools, but also monetization. Big thing, revenue generation, and that's where we're focusing today. We have Itai Godot, who is the VP of Marketing for a company called Interactive. He'll be coming up a little bit later on the show. Peggy and I are going to talk very, very quickly about some numbers. I'm going to be talking about a report that Distimo came out with around the first 2 years of the iPad and its impact, but more focused really exclusively on the publishing industry and the newsstand application, the numbers that came out of that. And Peggy's going to be talking about the GSMA, the Connected Life, this, what is it, $4.5 trillion global impact. So we're going to dive into that. We've also got our Goblet of Rock. It's my turn that I will raise. You're going to have to wait for that. This is I'm leading you on. You're going to have to wait a little bit before I'm not even going to announce who it is until the end of the show, obviously. And that's what I'm going to raise my Goblet of Rock to this great company that I've used their application now for a couple of months, and I love it. And I think it's going to have a big social impact. That's all I'm saying. That's it. So big show. Why don't we get it kicked off? Peggy?
Yeah, I think I'll start off with the report that I saw, but out of the corner of my eye during Mobile World Congress. We were all in mobile mode. And I had the pleasure of also going to the Connected Home again, but this time, really good because it's all ready for prime time. One of the reasons for going to the Connected Home was a press conference about AT&T saying, here's a solution, but it's ready. It's ready for operators, it's ready for MVNOs, it's ready for service providers. Take it, run with it. So it's very different this time around. And the report, The Connected Life, a $4.5 trillion global impact in 2020. And the reason I picked this one is because, first of all, we have some numbers. It's great to have reports that tell us what's happening, but also quantify it. And we learn that global devices, connected devices rather globally, are going to grow from 9 billion to 24 billion. And connected devices, well, what is that? That's mobile phones, it's tablets. Tablets changed all the rules. But more importantly, back to that connected theme, it's about all that M2M stuff we've been writing about for the last decade plus, All of that is prime time now because it not only the technology is there, the networks are there, and our understanding of how to use this meaningfully is there. It's great to say, oh, well, we have these M2M solutions and you can monitor meters in Scandinavia rather than go out in the cold and do it, or maybe in Canada, right? Rather than go out and do it physically. But we're starting to understand the benefits here. And the other point about the report I think that's interesting is how they quantify that. So yes, it is revenues, that's part of it, but there's a little bit of creative mathematics going on here because we're saying that all this together has a global impact in 2020 of 4.5 trillion. So part of it is, yes, the services, the revenues, all of that. That's around 2.5 trillion. And then we're talking about cost savings. We're talking about streamlining. We're talking about the benefits of having everything work together seamlessly and connected. That's another billion. And then we have service improvements to our lives, another billion. So put that all together and it paints a very interesting picture of how this is going to work together as a business, but also as a service.
It's astounding that this is going to have an impact. I mean, are all these numbers true impact, or are they, are there auxiliary numbers? Are there things that are around the fringe that you think that might be a stretch? Like we talked a little bit about this before. Is there anything that was so unique to this that you thought, wow, I never thought about that impact?
Well, yeah, there is in some of that, as I say, a little bit of creative math here. I mean, how do you measure impact and value? Part of it is the easy part, the stuff we're used to measuring, which is revenues and money. But there are some examples that I hadn't thought of. For example, about the rise of the electric car, the rise of thinking about alternative energy. What is that going to be? Well, you have to find these stations. You have to probably book an appointment to charge your car. How are you going to pay for it? We're probably back to mobile again. So you've got all of this very interesting technology working together in a service, and you're saying, okay, well, what's the impact there? Well, a savings to us as an economy because you're using an alternative source of energy. So they have a dollar sign number on that. Another is about taking care of the elderly or assisted living. They're saying, okay, this all works out to be an assisted living service, but then there's another knock-on effect, which is the benefit to society when we're not paying for those structures and those institutions to do it as a government. So you're doing it in your home. Again, billions and billions of savings in the sense of improvements, also improvements to life. So yeah, it's a little difficult to know, Rob, how the numbers add up, but it is interesting to see the work that's gone into this report to actually itemize this and put it on paper. That's why, kudos to them for doing it, because we talk about connected life, we talk about when everything's connected, but now we have a blueprint, a roadmap to see, okay, this is what's going to probably likely happen, and we can also measure ourselves against this. I mean, it says by 2020, so we'll be back at that point sometime, Rob, right, to check out and see if they were right.
That'll be episode, 7,423.
Exactly.
I love these reports because they, we're not just talking about, for me, when I look at what this industry, the impact in this industry, I don't think that we fully have registered what's going to happen in this space and what it means that these devices are so connected. And I think we're just in the discovery mode. And I love that these guys are actually thinking about the impact of things like, charging your car, or impact on the elderly, or impact on anything. Because for every time we pick up this device, you and I pick up this device, there's an impact to that. We're not doing something else. We're exchanging one piece for this, and the benefit that we're gaining from this, we're leaving something behind that wasn't as big a benefit. And I think that's what's cool about this. Great.
Well, I can also bring us back in one benefit that brings us right back to the report you're going to be going into, and the show's focus overall is all of this connectedness is going to need applications. And I'm thinking now back, it must be 2 years, possibly even 3, that our guest and our good friend Chetan Sharma came out with a report about the app economy. And he closed it with a paragraph, which I won't forget because I've quoted it so many times, about the idea that this is going to be an app for everything economy. So not just there's an app for that for your phone, but download stuff for your toaster, for your refrigerator, what have you. I won't go there because we know about that automated kitchen thing. It doesn't really happen, but you get the idea. So it's not just about us. It's about the machines. The machines need apps. And if we're talking about developers making money, okay, you don't know which platform to choose, maybe just choose a different device. Choose an appliance. Do TV.
I'm 100% with you. And Chetan, of course, man, way ahead of his time.
He was ahead of his time, as usual, yes.
Well, I mean, I think that leads well into what I'm talking about, because we're in the middle of this transformation going on in every industry as a result of mobile. And Distimo put out this report, which was the iPad 2 years in review. So they looked at what the impact the iPad has had, because we all know that the latest iPad came out, Peggy, and this thing just it couldn't be kept on the shelf. I mean, it didn't sell out, but that's because they anticipated the demand. The first weekend out, it was over 3 million iPads sold, which is incredible. So my mother bought one. So she's turning 70 this year. She is handing in her netbook. She's bought an iPad. She will use this thing as her primary device at home. We've replaced every laptop in the house here with iPad. So we know that the impact is happening, especially in the tablet market. So two years in, what was the biggest statistic that I pulled out of this thing? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's great statistics around monetization. If you're pushing out free apps, China's the place to be. If you're pushing out in-app purchases or purchased apps or advertising apps, it's United States, it's Canada, it's the UK, and it's Australia. Those are the big pieces. But for me, the biggest piece was the newsstand revenue. This is a stat that's been bandied around over the industry the last week. $70,000 a day for the top 100 newsstand apps. That's the gross. That's what they're generating, $70,000 a day, which may seem like a lot of money. Like I think it does seem like a considerable amount of money, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the top 5 grossing apps: Rupert Murdoch's The Daily, the New York Times, the New Yorker magazine, National Geographic magazine, and Cosmopolitan. Those are the top 5. And one of the big things here is that number, $70,000 that is generated from the top 100. And I look at that, if you just break down the math, that is $700 a day for the top 100 applications in the newsstand. That isn't a lot of money. We're in the middle of a transformation here from the print world to the digital world. We are in North America. I'm not sure. Peggy, are you experiencing that same thing in Europe?
No, not quite. I expect it to come. It's always that gap. I am seeing some of this in the UK very distinctly because their publications are also thinking digital. You've got the Daily Telegraph with an awesome app and others, but no. This is more North America.
Yeah, and we're seeing that. Like the North American publishers are struggling with this digital world. They're trying to figure out what can they be doing here to be able to drive more revenue. And my guess is that the $700 a day that the top 100 on average are generating pales in comparison to their print distribution. And I know this is only 6 months in, but this number, although it seems grandiose, seems large, is very small. And I wonder what the impact of this, if everybody's putting focus on the tablet market, especially the iPad. I know it's a closed ecosystem, but it is the number one tablet that's out there. It's a dominant brand. And I wonder if we're focusing on the right thing here. I don't know that right now you could say that the tablet is a savior for the print industry, or the effort that's going into the print or the tablet industry for the newsstands is actually generating enough revenue. And I wonder what that skew is, what the top 5 generate versus the rest of the 95, the longer tail. And then the long tail. Is this a place that is actually a viable ecosystem for the print transformation that's going on? I don't know yet. $700 a day, even 6 months in? Wow. I mean, that's not a business to be had right now, I don't think. We'll see where this goes. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting watching that develop because, as you said, this is 6 months in. A lot's still going to happen. But if you look at it like that, then you have to say, well, then, hopefully the revenue is in the value add around connecting all that. So that handoff again between an app and a phone and maybe Maybe a lot of mobile video. I'm seeing everyone talk about it right now and saying, brands need to have their own shows and media needs to have their own show. You've got sites, not just ours, but others such as GigaOM and others. They all have their own shows. So maybe it's in the mix. I'm hoping it's in the mix because I certainly don't want to see publishing go away. It has its place. It can't just all be about the snacking. If it was snacking, we couldn't have a show because we're not 10 minutes long. We're 45.
Exactly. And from a personal standpoint, I mean, I've subscribed. I mean, my iPad is my life now, and I've subscribed to Wired magazine, to National Geographic magazine. I've subscribed to Fast Company magazine, and these, probably combined, we're maybe spending with National Geographic maybe $150 a year in subscriptions just for those three magazines. Now I'm spending $30 a year, so I know it's a little bit more profitable. But I think that what ends up happening here is that somebody's losing revenue somewhere, and the transition from ads from a print magazine into the digital thing, it is not just about replacing the existing ads or putting the same ads up there. It's too easy to skip. So we're at the beginning of this transformation piece, and I'm hoping for a little bit more innovation. But the $70,000 a day for the top 100 publications. That's $700 per day if you average out those top 100. And I know some of them are doing better, some of them are doing worse, but that is not an industry yet. That's a tough nut to swallow. So in aggregate, it might be a big enough number, but in independent, when you break it down the way that I've just done, simple math, it's not so great.
Yeah, I fully agree. Let's just hope it's a starting point of a trajectory that's a growth trajectory, but we don't know that yet. So jury's out on that one.
Well, I say go check out the Distimo report. Just go to distimo.com and you'll be able to find it there. I think it's worthwhile. And I'd love your thoughts on that. Anybody out there who's going through this process, talk about it. And if you are one of these publishers that are out there trying to make a living out of this, we'd love to hear you. Reach out, untether@gmail.com. Well, now I think it's time to actually go to our guest. This is great. As we continue this push in the development community to try to help developers move forward, and our focus, obviously, for the last little while has been on developers. This is really about generating revenue and generating income for the effort that's gone into the development of your application. Very important if you're interested in building a second one or a third one. Definitely have to build that out. So we had the pleasure of sitting down with Itai Godot, who is the VP Marketing for Interactive. That's INNER-active. Just pulling up their website right now. These guys are an ad exchange. He's going to go into his business. We will bring up Itai right now, and please enjoy this interview with Itai Godot. In continuing with our desire for you guys out there in the development community to actually generate a buck or two or three so that you can build your second or third or fourth application, create your dominant digital mobile world and mobile business. We want to extend this. We want to bring this to you. So we've decided, as we said, we're focusing on the development community. We want to focus on how you can make some money. So with that in mind, we have brought the VP of Marketing for a company called Interactive, Itai Godot, to talk about how you guys can leverage what they're doing and why you should leverage what they're doing and why you should just think about revenue all the time. At least that's what I do around when you're building your mobile applications. Itai, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit of insight with us in this topic.
My pleasure, Rob and Peggy. I know it's very early morning in Canada, Rob, but I want to share with you your own Crown Royal.
I'll share with you a cup of coffee. That's what I've got going here. And you never know what's in it, right? Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Why don't you talk about what it is that you're doing at Interactive? Because it's very important. Very important that this entrepreneurial community around mobile applications starts to generate revenue, isn't it?
Right, and I think you were absolutely right before when you said that nowadays, it's not enough just to create a great app. Now you need to think about how you're going to monetize this application, how you get it discovered. And this is where we come in. And Interactive is an app monetization exchange. What we're doing is, on one side, we're working with more than 100 different ad providers. Those ad providers can be global ad networks, local premium agencies that we're working with. And together we're building a very significant offering to our developers. On the other side of this exchange, of course, there would be the developers that we work for and help them monetize their apps. Peggy mentioned interview before that it's also very important to have a cross-platform offering. So we're offering our developers a one line of code SDK, which hooks them with our exchange, and by doing so, they are able to get campaigns, get adverts for more than those 100 different ad networks and ad providers. So at the end of the day, they get a global coverage of local targeted ads, which we're optimizing on their behalf to make sure that in each given moment and place, they are served with the highest paid for ad. How sweet is that? It is.
I love that because, you know, it's kind of like when if you're not thinking about turning your apps into revenue. You know, there are people that are just building free apps, and it's a hobby for them, because I think that that's really what it becomes, is a hobby if you're not turning it into revenue. How important is it for the app developers to actually to start to generate the revenue? Do you think that it's a universal desire to generate revenue from apps, or is it just a select few that can actually do this?
You know, I think yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's great to develop a free app, put it on the store. That's nice. Then what? Obviously, as a developer, you'd like to have the resources to create your next big app. And at the end of the day, just lie on the beach, drink your martini, and have fun. I mean, this is what we all want. And this is why we here and we're helping developers do that, because about 81% of all app downloads during 2011 were free. So does that mean there's no money into it? Not at all. Au contraire. Basically, if you come to think of it, mobile applications are the only product in the world that can make you more money when you provide them as a free product than as a paid one. And I'll give you a few examples. If you go with a pay-per-download a model, so you'll get those 99 cents, overall, probably 70 cents out of each download. And that's a one-time payment. And again, we know that not many people download paid for apps. But if you go to the ad-funded model, then you'll have a much larger deployment, because people, it's free, I'm going to download it. I don't care. I have enough space on my memory space, so I'll download all the apps that I can. And by using them on a daily or a weekly basis, those applications generate a lot of traffic. And this traffic generates a lot of revenues to the developer each month. So it's not just a one-time payment. They create revenues by a monthly basis from the same applications. And we're talking about free apps, so obviously they've been deployed in a much larger scale. We're very big fans of the freemium model, so you can always promote your free apps and have some kind of upgrade to buy the full version or the premium version. So if you're talking about, let's say, 5% to, 9% kind of a conversion between the free and the paid for version, then you'll have about, let's say, 9% of the entire inventory that got upgraded with the premium version. And the rest of the 90 to 95% are still generating you money because they're free, but they're ad supported. And that's the magic.
I'd like to go back to a point, Itai, about the ad network and the ad exchange, a little bit more about the difference there. And while we're talking about, the business, the hard-nosed business approaches that developers need to have, what level of transparency, you're saying, we get them the best price. but what level of transparency is there, and what range is there if you're thinking about bringing together all these ad networks? There must be quite a range. What can you tell me about that?
Right, that's a great question, Peggy. Thanks. So basically, yeah, the main difference between an ad network and exchange is that an ad network will probably focus on a certain region, or if it's a global ad network, probably it will provide you with a global coverage, but with low fill rates and low eCPMs. What it means is that as a developer, your inventory will be populated with paid-for apps for about, let's say, between 30 to 50, maybe 60% of fill rate. So the majority of your inventory is not being monetized. As an exchange, what we're doing is we're aggregating all those local and global ad networks together. So by doing so, we're able to optimize, and we're able to sort of like a bid and see in each given moment and place what ad network or agency will provide the end user / the developer with the highest and most relevant banner or ad. By doing so, I think you understand the difference between an ad network and exchange. Exchange works with a lot of ad networks, and in every given moment, we'll choose the highest paying ad. In terms of transparency, this is exactly what we're doing. As a developer, you're always able to, on your dashboard, you're able to, and by the way, I'll send you a slide later on that you can watch and have a grasp of it. So you'll be able, as a developer, you're able to see what each ad network is providing you through our exchange. Now, it doesn't mean that you see high CPM or high fill rate with one ad network and you need to do something. We're doing it for the developer automatically. So the developer doesn't have to manage and lift those plugs and manage all those ad networks. That's the idea of interactive. We're doing it automatically on the developers behalf. So again, the notion is that let us deal with all the ad networks, build them, manage them, make sure that you're always receiving the highest paid for ads. So you don't need to do anything about it. At the same time, you can watch and you see the different ad networks and how they operate and what they bring to you at the end of the day.
And what's the range there? Because it's just interesting, you can see it from your relationships, but also from being in the business. And it's always interesting to know what's the range, what can a developer expect, just so maybe just to adjust expectations. I mean, I remember from day one on, there were some pretty amazing prices you could get for CPM and CTR. And what's it like now?
Right. So, well, like any other answer for this kind of a question, the answer would be, it depends.
It depends. So, I knew it.
Yeah. So it depends on the market where the application is being used, the category of the application, whether it's sports, entertainment, lifestyle, news and info, games. It depends on the operating system. It depends on the device type. It depends on so many factors. We're talking about a range. So the range will be somewhere between, let's say, 50 cents to a $2.5, maybe $3 eCPM. That will be the range. eCPM, lowercase e, capital CPM, it means that effective CPM. It means how much money each 1,000 impressions or 1,000 banners that your apps received actually generated for you. And this is quite a lot of money. If you talk about thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands impressions a day, then it becomes during the month it becomes quite a big money. We have developers, we have long tail developers like the ones that Rob mentioned before, just creating an app and launching it on the store. They can generate a few hundreds of dollars a month. We have developers who are doing a few thousands of dollars, and we have also long tail developers. I'm not talking just about the big studios and the big guys who know what they're doing. I'm talking about medium size, maybe long tail, those garage geeks who starting to get the hang of it. They're actually making more than thousands of dollars. Some of them are making 5 digits each month, which is quite amazing. And we are very happy to be part of this ecosystem that is thriving and growing.
Itai, I have a question on that. When it comes to, there seems to be a thought, maybe it's a communal, a group thought out there that the app that you release has to have a certain number of downloads, has to have a certain level of engagement in order to be able to start to turn this into revenue. So, I mean, we've seen these great examples of corner cases, like Draw With Me or Angry Birds. These are the upper echelon of viral distribution. I mean, these companies, it's very hard to recreate that. But I get that question a lot. Like, how? I'm not going to turn revenue on simply because I don't have enough downloads at this point. Is that a fallacy, or is it real? Is there a certain number of thresholds that certain number of downloads that you have to reach in order to turn revenue on?
Yeah, I think a number of downloads are the case in any business model, whether it's paid per download or free. You need people to download the application to begin with. Definitely, and you need some kind of a threshold to start making significant money. But it's also a process. You mentioned Angry Birds, so it took them 50 apps or games to come with the Angry Birds, and they didn't raise this white flag. They kept on trying and trying until they reached app number 51 or 50. The same advice would go to other developers. You started, you created your first application, you learn a lot, you learn about the business model that are out there. I'll be more than happy to provide some kind of an insight on new business models coming on the horizon for 2012. Yeah, it's all a matter of downloads. And here, by the way, this is where we come and help the developers as well. Because at the end of the day, what do developers want? They want actually 3 things. They want to create great apps, and this is where we come from and help them with by introducing a one line of code SDK, so it doesn't take a lot of resources and time, so they can focus on developing great apps. The second thing would be monetization that we've just discussed, and the third thing, which is actually the second, would be discovery. App discovery is a challenge. We all know that. And as an exchange, this is where we're helping our developers as well, where they can actually run and promote their own app campaigns to get discovered on our own inventory. So just like Nike, Starbucks, Ford, BMW are using our inventory to promote their brands, the same inventory can be used by even the long-tail developer, the garage geek, the T-shirt, as Peggy liked to call them, and generate a lot of traction.
I'd like to point, because you got to the point of T-shirts there. That's the other thing about your business model. It isn't just the T-shirts. So maybe you could explore that, elaborate, because you're bringing in the suits as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, not suits, but, business casual would be a...
Yeah.
So basically, we're also working with, so the exchange is very flexible, and it's like, I've mentioned Nike before, so it's like the professional athlete will use a Nike shoe which is designated to run on track and field and, in the Olympics. The same company, which is Interactive for that matter, can also help the weekend trainer, the amateur jogger, where they can use Nike shoe, but a different kind of a Nike shoe. So this is where we come in. The same exchange can offer services and technological management layer for long-tail developers, garage geeks, and also to the big players where they have different needs. For example, different control of the inventory, different control of filtering and what campaigns and they would like to have on their inventory, and some campaigns they would like to block. So there are different needs here. The third audience that we're working with are those, as we mentioned in one of our discussions, for example, development environments and frameworks like Corona SDK, Unity 3D, StackMob, LiveCard, Marmalade. So we actually plugging into those ecosystems. And when a developer, for example, is working with Corona SDK to develop their Android and iOS applications, they can almost drag and drop our monetization tool, which is already offered as part of their suite, as part of their package. So as a developer, it's very easy for you now to get different tools in one place, including our tools, which are the plugins, those EDK or SDKs, to start working with. And we've been working very closely with such companies, which are great, by the way, because we're always, providing different benefits and different incentives to their developer communities. And we're getting our communities to talk with each other. So one community is talking about development tools, other community is talking about monetization, discovery. So at the end of the day, it's a good place to be, and good partnerships, which is basically what it's all about.
All right. So you mentioned this, Itai. You mentioned that there are some of the business models that are coming in 2012. Can you bring that forward? What are a couple of the business models that you're seeing that you're getting excited about for 2012? And we'll finish off with that.
Perfect. So as we finished 2011 just a few months ago, and display definitely was the big thing. Banners, full screen interstitials. And by the way, we always say, don't just, if we talked about Angry Birds before, don't just put the banner on top of during the gameplay, on top of the pig's castle. We always say, we have our APS, ad placement strategy. It's like, put the banners where the end user will most likely click on them and see them as an added value, and not something that hinders their user experience. But besides that, we also start seeing a lot of campaigns coming from advertisers that use rich media, those video pre-rolls and post-rolls, those banners which expand and collapse and have different interaction with them. User experience-wise, it's great. The CPM is amazing, between $5 to $20. We were talking about 50 cents to 2.5. Now we're talking about $5 to $20 CPM, which is, this is where we're going. And by the way, our SDK already supports both display and rich media. And now what we're doing, looking, over the horizon, we see hyper-localized ads being rising. We see in-app search, just like we have on web, coming to mobile as well, even if we're talking in-app advertising, which is what we're doing. And we also see, of course, virtual currencies, those great offer walls that we have. So as a developer, you have a lot of monetization tools to choose from. So how can you choose? I mean, I'm going to use a certain SDK for virtual currencies, a different SDK for display, another SDK for rich media. So we say, no. Here's an SDK for you, which I would call it the SDK, the mother of all SDKs, or one SDK to rule them all. So basically, this SDK actually optimizes all those monetization tools. So in every given moment, in any given place, if a virtual currency offering will be the highest paying one, we'll serve you this one. If rich media ad will be most effective and relevant, then we'll serve that one. So again, this is with just one line of code, 10 seconds of integration. I kid you not. Try me. 10 seconds of integration, 5 verticals of monetization, and we're looking already for the 6th one, which will be in-app purchases. So everything is in one cross-platform SDK. Booyah!
You know how important this is for everybody out there. Developing in the mobile space. wondering how to do this, here's the challenge to you: is learn this stuff. You could spend years learning it, or you could leverage somebody else's knowledge. Focus on what it is that you're doing best, which is in the development side, and be educated around the options for generating revenue. But look into revenue generation, and don't be discouraged by the mountain of information that is out there. Go and leverage somebody like Itai to be able to develop some revenue as you're developing the product. Itai, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this.
No,
really.
No BlackBerry question.
No BlackBerry question.
I warned him. I said there would be a BlackBerry question.
There isn't a BlackBerry question for me at this point. I think that the jury is still out on BlackBerry. I think that they're very relevant. And don't get me started on a rant on BlackBerry. We're a very proud Canadian population of our company in RIM. They just need to straighten themselves out. There is opportunities there. We know that there are opportunities there. But I don't think it's as mature as the iOS or the Android market when it comes to revenue potential, when it comes to in-app purchasing. I still believe that a lot of companies are making a lot of money selling one-offs and moving into that realm. We'll come back to that, Itai. We'll get you back on to talk about RIM when they've straightened themselves out.
Scholar.
We've been speaking with Itai Godot from Interactive. Go to inner-active.com. We really appreciate you doing this. Go and make some money with your apps. Please, 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 please. Thanks,
Come
Itai.
talk to us. Let's make some money.
That's exactly. Thank you so much, Itai.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Itai.
So that was Itai Godot. We really appreciate him coming on. He's the VP of marketing for Interactive. There's the website up there. Hope you found some tremendous value. I'm going to try to get him on for a full episode at untether.tv so we can talk about the do's and don'ts around this space, about how to make money, do's and don'ts about placing ads and working with an ad exchange. And we really appreciate Itai coming on and sharing his insight. It was great. It was great. Hope you found value in that. Let us know. Please let us know. Yeah, that was a great episode, or a great session with Itai. Was there anything that you took out of that, Peggy?
Well, what I'm thinking when I was listening to that, and one of the reasons, I met him actually initially at Mobile World Congress, and he was one of the sponsors of the Developer Lounge, so you couldn't miss it where he was placed, and it was talking about the ad exchange model. And, that taking the heavy lifting out of it approach. It's not going to be everybody's thing. It depends on your business model, like all things. It depends. But when I was thinking about the developer and what you have to go through, just the same as you as an entrepreneur and what you have to go through to, create the content, monetize the content, and all the rest of it. And I thought to myself, the whole idea of one exchange with one SDK, that's going to appeal to a lot of people, because you want, even if you don't like the 65-35 split, you'll say to yourself, I'll take it because it makes life easier. I can focus on what I need to do. And we're going to need companies like this to cover the spectrum, because if this is going to be a business, it's going to have to be easy. And that's what I was attracted to. And that's why I approached him also to come on the show. We're going to need all kinds.
I can't agree. I couldn't agree more. Is that, there's that adage where you focus on what you're good at. And usually there's a big gap between development and marketing and sales. And, it is difficult to transition. And if you are in this business to make a business out of this, you have to look at companies like Interactive. You definitely have to look at an ad exchange, simply because how and there's other ways to monetize, and we're going to touch on a lot of those things, but really you got to start looking at ways to generate revenue. So that's what we're trying to do, stimulate those ideas. So good.
Absolutely. As I said, it's going to take all types, because it depends on your business model. Now, you may say, I really only want premium. I want absolutely premium. And there are ad networks that just do that, and that's very fine. But if you want that spread, then this is an interesting approach to consider, because of that all-in-one approach, which seems to sort of mark the evolution of the internet, if you think about it. What makes Amazon interesting? It's a one-stop shop. What makes eBay interesting? Lots of stuff. What can make an ad exchange interesting? Access to lots of networks at one point.
Yeah, and being able to turn that on, as you said, within 30 seconds. I think simplicity, ease of use, reliability, and distribution are key for the success of your app.
because I'm sure we're going to have other ad networks on here in the show in the course of time, but each has its sort of, you know, it's like anything. There's just going to be horses for courses here, and it's an interesting model because it has its place.
Love it. Well, I thank Itai for coming on and sharing this, and hopefully you'll hear more from companies, well, from Itai on Untether and companies like this bringing options out. So I think that's great. Thanks, Itai, for doing that. Really appreciate your time. All right, the last thing that we get to do here, which is really great, is to bring out a hero, somebody that is we think that are either changing the industry or bringing to light a new aspect of the industry, and it's my turn. I get to do this. This is where I get to have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to talk about this trend that we saw at South by Southwest. I can't get over it because even guys like Gary Vaynerchuk are out there talking about the impact that social discovery is going to have on our lives. And, you know, really think about what we started at the beginning of the show talking about the impact, this personal impact that mobile is going to have on all of our lives. And we don't even know what that means yet. So this is one of those companies. The company I mentioned a couple of episodes ago because they were dominant at South by Southwest. This is a company called Banjo. As you see up on the screen, it says Social Superpower. So this is an app that I've been using for quite some time now. Well over 2 months, and it is a social discovery application. It allows you to, once you check in somewhere, you know, it allows you to check in, whenever you check in, say on Foursquare or Facebook Places or anything along those places, it scours your social networks that you've connected with and tells you who's around you. And I think that that's a really interesting play, simply because, you know, I sat with Damien Patton, who is the Banjo CEO and founder, and it really inspired him to build this application because he's actually a Desert Storm vet. Peggy, this is a really interesting story. Is that he's a Desert Storm vet 2 times. He did 2 tours of duty in Desert Storm, and what he ended up doing was he said that there was, you know, you lose touch obviously with people that you were were either working with or in his instance was serving with, and so he was, I think it was Chicago, and he was in Chicago, passing through Chicago on his way home, and somebody that he served with was passing through Chicago on his way home, and they had probably a couple hours where they could have connected while they were in Chicago. They hadn't seen each other for quite some time, obviously, and it just kind of, they passed like that, ships in the night, and didn't realize that they were so close to each other until they got home to their respective homes. And he said there's got to be a way to create an opportunity for that serendipity to happen so that they could connect. And that's where the inspiration for Banjo came. And it is pretty incredible. So you check in, as I said, it tells you who's around you in your social sphere. It doesn't interact with them. It just says, hey, you know what? Bill is over here, and he's within 200 meters of you. So go and you know, either send him a message or go and find him. And I like this. This is going to be a big impact industry, this kind of social awareness applications that are out there. It always runs on your phone, so it just pings you when somebody's near. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I watched Mission Impossible last night. And Mission Impossible had this great scene where one of the spies was walking up towards somebody, and a face recognition buzzer went off on his smartphone and said, well, unfortunately for him, it was an assassin. But it said, look, there's somebody in your vicinity that is that you should know about, and it didn't save his life. But if you've seen the movie, you'll understand it. And that's where we're getting to, this social awareness. Hopefully, not a lot of you are out there fighting assassins, but I think Banjo could help you. So I'm going to raise my goblet to Banjo and to Damien Patton. What a great story. If you've I pulled it up there. If you go to untether.tv, I've done a 3-part interview with Damien, and it is riveting. It's a great interview just because of Damien's story. So that's my goblet. Damien Patton over at Banjo. BAN.jo.
Just curious, Rob, what was your experience? Because you said you've been using it. I mean, has it managed to, you know, is it like reuniting you with people you went to school with or something? I mean, is it having that type of an impact? Are you just getting surprised anywhere along the way?
You know, it's very interesting because, yeah, I think the engagement part is very interesting. So many times, you know, we go to events all the time, and I think that that's really where this is going to germinate from the beginning. So South by Southwest was this kind of explosion of social apps like Highlight and Banjo and Glancy. But for me personally, it's been, I've been at an event, I've been downtown somewhere at a restaurant, and get notified that somebody is around me or at the event, and I've gone and checked them out. I've gone and sent them a note, said, I'm here, let's connect right now. So on many occasions this has happened. It happens at Mobile Monday all the time. It happens around big conferences and events like, maybe 200 or 300 more people, or people or more, I think is the optimum space. Oftentimes you don't want to be bugged if you're out for dinner with somebody and a friend is right next to you. But I think that this is really about that. It's just a social awareness, and this is just the beginning where we're seeing. So I've interrupted people's conversations to reintroduce myself. I think it's a neat piece.
Awesome. Yeah. I like the idea of introducing some serendipity also back into it, sort of like people like you like this and that and the other, and that's the way of filtering, and that's the way of getting you together. There's someone who has your interests. You might want to say hi. This is someone who already is a part of your life, and you've become a bit disconnected for whatever reason, maybe because you're always in head down mode and you're not even looking around at the life around you, and this gets you back into real life. So yeah, I can see it. In fact, I like it. You've converted me, Rob, actually. See if there's many people going through Frankfurt Airport here on their way back to the States. I can grab them.
But that is exactly what it is, and I like it because there's a little bit of social marketing in there as well. So when somebody's in vicinity of me, I can go and check. I can click on them, and then it sends them a message saying, hey, Rob Woodbridge just looked at you because you're in the vicinity. So it also can put the social onus on them to reach out to me if I'm interested, or if I'm coy or shy or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So I think that I like that play. I like that play. But Damien, genuine guy. This was a featured app in the App Store when I was talking to him in the interview. Very enthusiastic. I like what they're doing. I think this is an industry that we should be watching and watching very closely. So social discovery. Banjo. BAN.jo. That's it. That's my goblet. Bum, 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 bum. Well, Peggy, we just nailed episode number 11.
Yeah.
Are we going to come back for a 12th?
Oh yeah, we've got so many. There's as much to look about in the developer community as there is in real life. So we can do, we'll be doing marketing, we'll be doing how to present yourself, how to pitch, everything. I mean, the basics. It'll be unending. So there's tons.
I look forward to it. If you guys out there have any feedback, anything at all, good, bad, please let us know. Reach out at untether@gmail.com, Peggy@mobilegroove.com. Please reach out. Let us know if you have an idea for a company that you think should be the recipient of the famed now Goblet of Rock. Please let us know. We'd love to hear from you as well. And for those of you, I've had many requests about an iTunes feed. It is coming. So by episode number 12, I guarantee that we will have an iTunes feed up and running with an audio and a video subscription capabilities. So we will detail that for next episode, but keep an eye out for it in iTunes. We'll make it simple. That way you'll never miss an episode. Why would you want to? Why? But if we do this, you guys out there watching and who actually appreciate this and like this, I'd ask one favor. Just give us a rating. 5 stars preferable. 4-star is exceptional. Anything less than that, send us an email first, please. We love doing this, and we'd love to continue bringing this, and the feedback that we get from you is the reason we do it. So please keep it coming. Anything else, Peggy?
No, I think that's it. Just gonna meet again, same time, same channel next week.
Got it.
And have another voice from the developer community. We've got some great people in the pipeline, and I've got some more coming. And countries, we didn't even start Africa yet, so you can imagine it's gonna just get better.
A weekly show, not enough. I think we got to go like daily. The fear.
Okay, then you write my blog, and I'll be on your show.
Somehow we have to make a living. All right. Well, that's it for episode number 11. We'll see you next week for episode number 12 of M-Pulse. Thank you all for watching or listening wherever you are. Really appreciate it. Peggy, safe week. We'll see you next time on M-Pulse.
Yeah, make apps.